too. So when they started those universities and stuff like that,
because Mansa Musa was one of us too.
Yeah. Mansa Musa was Israel.
Yeah,
and in fact,
he converted to Islam.
Yeah, he converted to Islam. Yeah. But that goes into Deuteronomy 28 when it talks about our kings worshiping wood and stone.
36 and 37.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a good class, man. It's about 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
That's what I use at night for when I was studying my scriptures, because I liked it to be dark and just a flashlight.
So it's Proverbs 6:23 in effect. That's what that is, right?
Huh?
Proverbs 6:23 in effect. The law is a lamp. How dark as hell. The law is a lamp.
So it won't tilt.
Yeah.
If it tilts, you put it like that.
I got it.
You knew I was doing it.
Got the whole house dark. The law is a lamp.
Exactly.
The only light that's in this house is the law.
I got like a little small group of Call of Duty, World War II.
Oh, yeah?
And every time they get me on, because they know they see my name.
Right.
They like, yeah, that's my boy Mally. So now every time I get on, they go, Mally, we got some questions. We got some scriptures we got questions for.
Wait, why you guys playing Call of Duty?
Why are we playing Call of Duty? So now it's like...
You got a little follow-up.
Yeah, I got a little... Everybody...
He did the same exact thing. I want you to tell him what you did, okay?
M-A-L-I, it's a Hebrew word, means circumcised ones.
Oh, see what it is because they see my.
I don't see a name for sure.
Yeah, they see they short it because they couldn't pronounce the whole thing.
Mali means circumcised ones.
Cut.
We ruled in Mali. That was a part of us in Africa. Mali, we ruled in Mali. You understand? So that's why it's so funny when you said Mali. I'm like, yo, circumcised. That's what that means.
And I laugh because they can't pronounce the full thing because
of course it's in Mali for sure.
Or I get some of them go instead of saying Malachi, they go Malachiah.
Right.
I get Malachiah, or I get a few just go Malachi.
But straighten up. Don't let them call you Malachi though. Malachi means my queen.
Oh my gosh.
What's that mean?
Malachi. Because Malak means what?
You are my African queen.
Malak is
king. Malachiah. Malakah means queen. Malachiah means my queen.
Now I understand why certain times I gotta correct brothers. I gotta correct brothers when I think one brother came on my Facebook and he say "Shalom sis," and I say "Sis, no."
Now see the way you pronounce it is your name doesn't have a K in it. The ka, it's not a ka, it's ka.
Okay.
Sound like it's coughing. Yeah.
It's ka. It's CH. They might pronounce the ka. It's not Malachiah.
Oh, it's CHAA, right?
Now, like when you say ak, you're not saying AK, you're saying ACH, ak.
Right.
That's what you're really saying, ak.
Like
you know, so your word means messenger of the Most High, like Malachi.
Right.
Malachia. So you got to make sure that you let brothers know it's not Malachiah, it's Malachiah.
You about to hallelujah.
So I got the
person that knows Hebrew will tell you like why do you think we always got on because he called himself my queen.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I gotta correct the HAK.
Right. So if so it's Malachiah. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're saying messenger, you're saying Malachi.
So it's like
right.
CHAA.
So no. But a brother was calling himself by the name Malachi, but he spelled it like Malachiah. And we're like, so I'm like, yo, you know you're calling yourself my queen, right? And we always butted heads anyway, so he thought it was coming out. You're saying, but
I get what you're saying.
Really, Malak means king. When you say something feminine, like when you say names, whenever you want to know what a name means in a feminine form, you just separate all the vowels. Like for example, when you say light in a masculine form, it's a war. Right? When you want to say, like my oldest daughter's name is Awara or Awara. Right. That's her name. That's light in a feminine form. That's my oldest daughter's name.
Similar to Spanish.
You understand what I'm saying?
The A for
I'm not sure how that goes.
No, say like the same way how you said that with the A for feminine, in Spanish is the A also.
Okay.
Computadora is female. It means
but
computer, but it's female.
That's what's going on.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Everybody knows what this is, right?
Yes.
So this is for future. For future during the Sabbath service, everybody knows what this is. It's called a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Kids, children, hand. 5 fingers. We're gonna raise these during classes. Just for order's sake.
I guess crazy.
No, this is what we do.
Trust me.
Listen. Let me explain. He'll tell you how I was about that before, right?
Yeah.
I don't like and it's like listen. I'd rip your head off. Sisters wouldn't even speak in the class. I'm merciful. Am I not merciful? You know, but just for order's sake. You know what I'm saying? But now, see, you said you want to learn Spanish. We were just talking about that, right? So, you think about that, King. Think about that. You ready for class now? You ready? So we all know this is the first fruits. It's the first day of the first fruits. This is a beautiful thing. But and for all those in YouTube, I know a lot of brothers. This is their around this time of year. This is their 50th day, so to speak, of the first fruits. You understand? And everybody does how they do things and everything. I understand why brothers do it that way. But when you go into the scriptures, based off the understanding that we have, based off the scriptures that we have, this is our first day of the first fruits. And what is the first fruits? It's the first fruits of what? Because you have to think when you talk about the first fruits, you have to have a what mentality? A farming mentality. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why our first day of the first fruits begins around this time of year, opposed to when everybody else starts to count. The reason why our first fruits is our first day of the first fruits is tonight is because I understand farming, number one. You understand what I'm saying? And because I understand farming and understand how to cycle of the sun and garden and stuff like that, gardening and everything, there's no way possible that your first fruits can begin. There's no way possible that your first fruits can begin when brothers, start their first fruits. Based off of you have to give a first fruit offering to the Most High. You understand what I'm saying? And when you have to give a first fruit offering to the Most High, you have to come before the Lord with something. Now, everybody talks about tithes and everything, how tithes is crops. Your tithes is crops, but tithes isn't only crops. We're going to go over all that tonight also.
10%
because tithing
increase.
Was just more than your crops. When you read the scriptures, it was more than your crop. You had tithing on your wine, tithing on your corn. You had, and not only that, even during the first fruits, right? During the first fruits, when you was coming from a far journey, you couldn't bring all them crops up to Jerusalem because they spoil you. So you had to cash that in for what?
Money.
For money to bring to the temple for the purpose of feasting. You see, so we're gonna cover all that tonight in this half of the first fruits. Mm-hmm. In this half of the opening of the first fruits, we're gonna cover that. But we're gonna start from the beginning. We're gonna go back because we know what? We know a couple of months ago, because it's the third month for us, right? It's the third month for us. But we're going to go back to the time of the Passover, when brothers originally start their first fruits, the counting of the first days.
Go ahead.
You understand? And the reason why I want to go back to there is just to educate. Like, one thing I don't battle when it comes to scripture and doctrine. I don't make, I'm not into all that. I like to educate. And one thing I want to really start to show is how it's impossible for you to start your first day, your counting right after the Passover. It's impossible for you to start your counting right after the Passover because on the first day of the first fruits, you have to give an offering. And then on the 50th day, you have to give an offering also. Mm-hmm. That's why the first day is a Sabbath and the 50th day is a Sabbath. And some brothers only acknowledge the 50th day as a Sabbath, but they have to understand that the first day is a Sabbath also. Because the first day of the first fruits is your barley harvest.
Okay.
And we're going to go over that. The 50th day of your first fruits ends the wheat harvest. That's why it's called the Feast of First Fruits. It's called the Feast of Wheat. It's called in the Apocrypha, Tobit, I think it was referred to as the Holy Feast of 7 weeks. You understand? And like how you used to go to what's the name of the church you used to go to?
Israelite Churches, God Jesus Christ.
How they do the double tithes thing, and they went to the Book of Tobit.
Right.
See how that's a lie they conjured up because they're scheming for money. What that was referring to in the Book of Tobit was the first day and the 50th day. That's why I said double tithes, and we're gonna go over that tonight also. Right. When you was tithe double, meaning you brought in your tithes on the first day, which was crops, and then on the 50th day, which was crops. But if you didn't have it, you brought your monetary donation on the first day and on your 50th day. You see, and just to, not only that, just to prove that tithes wasn't just only crops. Mm-hmm. When Abraham, and we're gonna go over this too. Mm-hmm. When Abraham came back from the spoil, what did he just raid? A cornfield?
No.
So he raided what?
This was after.
Look, Lot was captured.
Huh.
He wanted to go get. Him and his servants.
He took every treasures they had.
Right. He took everything they had.
10% of all his increase.
No sooner than he came back from the spoil, who appeared? Melchizedek. So we're gonna go over all that just to show tithes isn't only crops. Because some men say, "Oh, well, tithes is crops." Tithes isn't only crops. You understand? Because if tithes is only crops, then why is our oil and wine being tithed in?
Okay.
Why do we have to give the firstborn of our cattle? That's tithing. You tithe your cattle. The firstborn of our cattle is required from the Most High. Why is that? Because the Most High commands the firstborn. Before the Levites was set up, when you read in the scriptures, right? After Melchizedek, before the Levites was set up to be doing the priesthood, the firstborn sons did it. That's why I said, yes, your firstborn sons that opened the matrix, they were the ones doing those things. So, we're going to give some understanding tonight, and we're going to go into it. But we're going to start. First, I want to talk about first.
King, what's the 50th day called again? I know the first one's called barley, and the 50th day is called.
The 50th day was the wheat harvest.
The wheat. Okay, all right, thanks.
The first day was the end of the barley harvest, and the 50th day is the end of the wheat harvest. Right. And we're gonna go over that just to give you understanding. But like I said, I want to go back to the Passover just to show you why we celebrated on our feast on the day we celebrated, right? So now I need to go to the new moon calendar first and foremost. Right? So now, the first new moon of the year, and he's got his calendar now, so it's 12, was what? March 16th, right?
Good.
So the first new moon of the year was March 16th. Now, March 16th is the first new moon. But now I'm going to ask a question. What's the first day of spring? March 20th. Right? So the first new moon was technically in what season? In winter.
In winter season.
The first new moon was technically in the winter season, and this is why I gotta go from the first of the year leading up to the first fruits, so you can understand why we don't celebrate it right directly after the Passover, the first fruits. Why it shouldn't be celebrated right directly after the Passover, the first fruits. Why you have to really space it out, and the scriptures gives you an idea of when to space it out. It gives you an idea when to space it out. And I wish I had my Holman's Bible dictionary because it gives you a map of how to space it out.
I was thinking too, I was going over this earlier in class, how, it said Yahushua stayed with his disciples 40 days and 40 nights, right? Well, 40 days, right? And
then shortly after that, what?
Right, that was Pentecost.
Right.
Now, if you really was to add from the time of Passover when he was crucified,
right.
It was more than 50 days.
Of course it was.
Because you had 3 days when he resurrected, and then you had 8 days while he was with the disciples.
And then he dwelt with them 40 days.
And then he dwelt with them 40 days.
Said, go to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
He said, after that, he said, go to Jerusalem. My father's going to wait for you there. You're going to get the power on high.
Right.
So it's showing you that, listen.
So they couldn't have started.
They didn't start directly
immediately after Passover.
Because think about it. If he raised up on the third day, right? Mm-hmm. This is why and I was going to get all that stuff. this is why you got to go into that thing, like how you're going to go to, and we're going to touch on that tonight.
Mm-hmm.
If he walked with them for 40 days, right? And he rose 3 days after the Passover. If he walked them for 40 days, right? Then you're saying, first of all, you would have to set up, that means the next week would have to be the beginning of the first fruits, right? Mm-hmm. And then 40 days after, that means he technically, based off the day of the week, Yahushua would have still been around for the 50th day, technically.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? He would have technically still been around, or he would have just left right before. But from the way the scriptures line up from Luke, that's why when you read Luke, because Luke wrote Acts.
Right.
Where he leaves off at in Luke, he picks up at in Acts. The conversation just kind of picks up in Acts and everything. You see what I'm saying? That's why it goes parallel when you read the end of Luke going to the beginning of Acts. It picks up where he left off at in Luke. So we're going to go into it, but when you check it out, it's impossible for it to be right after the Passover. But like I said, we're going to go into it because just on a common sense level. You know what I'm saying? It's not that brothers don't have common sense. What it is just brothers don't understand farming. They don't understand farming. Mm-hmm. Some brothers haven't been raised on a farm. They don't understand gardening and things like that. So now if the first new moon is March 16th, right? which the first new moon was March 16th. Think about it. March 16th was the first new moon. When you count 15 days from that, right? 15 days from that, the Passover was March 30th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, think about it. The first day of spring is March 20th. This is why you have to know a solar calendar and a lunar calendar, because the solar calendar is what separates your seasons. The lunar calendar is how we get our time. All years, months, and days is by a lunar calendar, but a solar calendar is like the farmer's almanac is set up by a solar calendar, and that's an accurate calendar. You see what I'm saying? It's accurate because that's what you use for farming. You use the sun for farming.
Right.
You get your seasons. You deal with the sun for that. For our days and weeks and years, we use the moon. But you have to know both. You see what I'm saying? So now, think about it. If the new moon is March 16th, but the first day of spring is March 20th, and the Passover is March 30th, what crops can grow from the first day? First of all, no crops grow in the winter. No crops grows in the winter at all. So now, from March 20th to March 30th, which is 10 days.
What was you going to bring for the first
What was you
day?
going to bring? Well, you understand what I'm saying? Then if you count, that's the Passover, right? Now, when you go to April 5th, that was the closing services, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you do it the following Sabbath after that, that's not even 20 days. That's 20 days tops. If you're starting your first day, the first fruits then, what has grown
in 20 days?
In 20 days. When number one, we all know, like if you're a farmer, you know nothing grows in 20 days.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, nothing grows 20 days from winter. Because spring is just the renewing of the earth. People have to get out of this. People think when the first day of spring hits, it's supposed to be like 50 and 60 degrees. No, the spring is the thawing out of the earth from it being sleep. So your first month or so, the earth is still thawing out. This is why when you till the ground in the wintertime, in the spring, everything just falls apart effortlessly. Mm-hmm. And that's why you till the ground after the ingathering, which is the tabernacles, after the feast of ingathering, in the fall, people start to till their ground. And then it freezes over, then it thaws back out. You see what I'm saying? But now, just to keep it where we're at, from March 20th to say if we had our first fruits right after the first Sabbath after the Passover, that would make no sense, because what are you going to bring before the Lord? Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to bring anything before the Lord. But let's start at Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, just so people could understand what's going on. Because I know we're doing this MySpace, Facebook, YouTube.
I don't know what channel this is on mine.
But we're going to go into Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And this is the basics of your feast days right here. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And Shalach, I want you to start at verse 1. So you're going to be verse 1 and 2. Then from there, you're going to jump down to 9. That's that.
You want me to jump to verse 9? Huh?
No, read verse 23, 1 and 2, then jump to verse 9.
Okay. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
So it says, Speak unto the children of Israel concerning the feast of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. A holy convocation is a pure sacred gathering. Yes. You're supposed to come together on these feast days. It's mandatory for you to come together. The scripture talks about forsake not the assembly of the congregation. It's mandatory for you to come together. There's a chair right there, King. It's mandatory for men to come together on these feast days. Why is it mandatory? Because the Most High said so. Plain and simple, point blank. Read on.
Verse 9, right?
Yeah, go to verse 9.
Verse 9. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, you want me to continue? Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
So now it's telling you right off the top, once you come into the land, it says, I will give unto you, that the Most High gives unto us, ye shall reap the harvest thereof. Right? That's why also the name of this feast day is also called the Feast of Harvest. Because you're harvesting what? Your barley. And then you're also going to be harvesting what? Your wheat. Because those are the two main wheats that we use for what? Bread, flour, unleavened bread, things like that. The unleavened bread cakes are made from wheat and barley. That's the meat offering that the scriptures talks about. The scriptures talks about a meat offering. That's the unleavened cakes. All right. So it says, speak unto the children of Israel, when you come into the land, I will give unto you, that he gives unto us, ye shall reap the harvest thereof. It says, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. So this is not the 50th day. This is talking about the first day. This is not talking about the 50th day. This is talking about the first day. Now, understand something. The first day and the 50th day are both Sabbath days. You understand? People only think the 50th day is only a Sabbath day, but the first day is a Sabbath day as well as a 50th day. Because we're going to go into when you bring the sheaf unto the priest and everything, because the sheaf is a basket of your first fruits. But hold this right here and go into Exodus. Right?
What chapter?
Exodus, the 23rd chapter.
Exodus 23, you said?
Yeah.
It is, I'm sorry, not slot. Not 23. That is in my new Bible, so
34?
This one. 34. Come 34, I think it's 34, 23. Oh, it's 30, yeah, come. That's what it is. 34, 22. Actually, no, start at verse 21.
Come.
Start at verse 2. So it's Exodus 34, start at verse 21. Because Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, correlates with Tobit. It correlates with Exodus right here. It correlates with Deuteronomy 16. You just have to put everything together. Once you put everything together, and also goes into Deuteronomy 27 also, or 24. We'll get to that too. But we're gonna go step by step so you can understand. Like, so read Exodus, the 21st chapter.
Anybody?
Oh yeah, anybody can do that.
Exodus chapter 34, verse 21.
Come.
6 days thou shalt work, but on the seventh day thou shalt rest.
So now we all know when it says 6 days thou shalt work, and on the seventh day thou shalt rest. We know what that's talking about, the regular Sabbath day. Because Sabbath means rest, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So now, Sabbath means rest. So now, read on.
In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest.
So it says, in earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. So now, what's earing time? That's the question now. What's the earing time and what's the harvest time?
So, I was watching a video where they was going into the tribe of Gad. And the tribe of Gad, they was calling Passover, the moon for Passover, the full moon for Passover, as the green ear corn moon. right.
And why is that?
Because that's the beginning of the growing of the corn.
That's the first sighting of life. That's the first sighting of life. Earing time. That's what it says that in the scriptures. You understand what I'm saying? It goes into that in the scriptures. It talks about, so when it says in earing time thou shalt rest. So when you see that first, when you take your first crops from out of the earth to eat, that's earing time. Because Abib also means an ear of corn. When you look in the Zondervan, it talks about Abib. It says an ear of corn. It doesn't only just mean the first day. It means an ear of corn. It goes into that. You understand? And why does it say that? Because this is the first sign of your crops coming into fruition. All right? And how you know that, jump back in Exodus.
We still in Exodus.
Yeah. Stay where you at. Jump back in Exodus, right? Where it talks about let me get it quick fast. Exodus, the 13th chapter. And hold on for 1 second. 13th chapter and okay, where is it at? Where is it? Give me 1 second. When it talks about the flax and the barley, why can't I see it right here? It talks about the flax and the barley was.
Is it Exodus?
Give me 1 second, Ken. First one. And that's why I didn't write down, so I forgot about this one. That's not it. That's not it. Talks about the barley and the rye. Is right. Give me 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not Exodus 13. It's Exodus. It's Exodus 9. Exodus 9, verse 31. That's what it is. I'm thinking of something else. It's Exodus 9, verse 31. It was the first person that gets it. Read it. There's my marker.
Exodus chapter 9, verse 31. And the flax and the barley was smitten.
Right.
For the barley was in the ear.
Right.
And the flax was bold.
Right. So it says the flax and the barley was smitten because the barley right now is what? It's in that ear. It's in that stage to where you can start to see it come out of the ground. You understand? Mm-hmm. So when you can start to see it come out of the ground, boom, guess what happens? Then you know a couple of weeks later, it's about to sprout up out of the earth. You see what I'm saying? But it's not fully grown here at this point. Because when you examine it, right, during this time of year is right around the Passover. So when something comes up, when you check out the rye and the wheat and the rye, the reason why it wasn't smitten because the wheat and the rye wasn't that time of year for it to grow yet. It's the barley season. And this is why I said when you check out the scriptures, the first week is what? The first day is what? The barley season. Mm-hmm. Because it's the barley's time to grow, and flax grows already, like just flaxseed oil and all that. Flax grows too. But I wish I had my Holman's Bible dictionary. It's a Holman's Bible Atlas, rather. It gives you the map of everything that grows during this time of year. This is what grows. During this time of year, this is what grows. During this time of year, this is what grows. And I did a paper on it, and I passed it out to brothers years ago. I don't think he was around back then. And I had it mapped out of what grows during every time of year, right? So it says the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear. So it's showing you an earing time is when thou shalt what? Rest. So once that first day comes and your crops are in full bloom, what happens? That first day is a day of what? Rest. Yes. Right? So now go back to Exodus, stay in Exodus, the 31st chapter.
34?
34th chapter, come. That's what I said.
Exodus chapter. Come. Exodus 34, verse 21. Come. 6 days thou shalt work, right? But on the seventh day thou shalt rest. Right. In earing time and in the harvest thou shalt rest.
So we know in earing time, what's grown in earing time? Barley. So in earing time is the barley season. The barley season which is the first day, is earring time. Because we just read in what? In Exodus, the 9th chapter, it talks about how the flax and the barley was smitten.
Right.
Because it just started to grow. So once it just started to grow, anything that, like, if you know about vegetation or whatever the case may be, anything that's grown. This is why, like, during it was a couple of winters ago in Florida when it kept snowing in the northern parts of Florida. All the orange crops was being destroyed. Why is that? Oranges need to be in all year round heat. That's why only in 2 places oranges really grow. In Florida and in California.
Right.
Because in Southern California, that is, not Northern California. Because in those places, what happens?
The heat
continually all year round.
Wow.
They got some. Never rains in Southern California. But in Florida, you have rain, but you really have that cold weather. So when they have them cold spells like that, their what's his name is destroyed. But we all know why the flax and the barley was smitten during this time of year, because the plagues, and they was getting plagued during that time of Egypt. So they had no vegetation. And even in the kingdom, it talks about if the Egyptians don't come up to the dedication, what's going to happen? There's going to be no rain that season. No rain means what? No vegetation. No fruits
crops.
or whatever the case may be. No crops. Okay? So it says, in the earring time and in the harvest time thou shalt rest. The earring time is the barley harvest. The harvest time is the Feast of Weeks, which is the 50th day. So read 22.
Verse 22. And thou shalt observe, and thou shalt observe the Feast of Weeks of the first fruits of wheat harvest,
right,
and the Feast of Ingathering at the year's end.
Right. And when you go into harvest, when you go into barley, when you go into flax, when you go into wheat, all those things when they're planted, it takes between 50 to 70 to 70 to 100 days based off what you're planting and where you're planting it at. You understand? You like even if you grow basic vegetables, well, everything is really fruits. It's because you don't see vegetable in the scriptures. Anything with a seed of itself is really fruit. But even basic fruits, it's a process. It takes a long time for that fruit to grow. It's not a 10-day thing. So if a man is setting up his feast day 10 days after or a week after the Sabbath, a week after the Passover, it's still cold during that time of year. So what and you can't tell me it doesn't snow in Jerusalem. We all know that. Because during the Maccabees wars, it was certain wars they were fighting. What did they say it was doing? It was snow. They was fighting in the snow.
Matter of fact, recently with this Passover just passed,
right?
They had a bad snowstorm.
They had a bad snowstorm.
They froze over, yeah.
Exactly. So it always snows over there. You see what I'm saying? It's just people don't. You know what it is? When you don't live there, you don't know. You think Middle East is always hot. People don't realize it can be 100 degrees in the day, be 30 degrees at night.
At night, I know for sure, guarantee at night it gets cold.
And that's because all those places are a mile above sea level. The whole Jerusalem's on a mountain.
God.
You understand? But all those places are like above sea level. Why do you think Denver is the way it is over here? Because
right.
Denver's they call it the Mile High City because they're above sea level. You see? So read 23, 34 and 23.
Thrice in the year shall all your men children appear before Yahweh thy power, the God of Israel.
So it says thrice a year, which is 3 times. All our male children shall appear before the Most High power. So 3 times in a year, we know it's what? And when it's saying times in a year, it doesn't just mean 3 times, like 1, 2, 3. When it says 3 times, meaning you're supposed to appear for the unleavened bread, the first day and the last day. You're supposed to appear for the first fruits, the first day and the last day. You're supposed to appear before the tabernacles, the first day and the last day. How do you know it talks about that? Because it tells you thrice in a year, right? Number 1. But then it tells you back in Exodus, the 34th chapter, it said what? In the earring time thou shalt rest, right. Meaning it's a Sabbath. In the harvest time it's a Sabbath. So if those days are Sabbath days, what are you supposed to do based on what we read in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter? It's a holy convocation. This is why we come together, this is our first day. But then also on our 50th day, we're gonna come back together again, which is like in July. Like yes, like in July.
Gun.
Like the second week of July. Okay? So from there, go back to Leviticus 23rd chapter. Because we're gonna go over we're gonna go over it slowly and give understanding. Go back to Leviticus 23rd chapter and the 9th verse. I mean in the 10th verse rather.
Anybody?
So I thought that you were still reading Leviticus.
I know I got
it.
Leviticus 23 and 9. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then shall ye bring a sheaf of the firstfruits of your harvest unto the priest.
And why do you think you're bringing this unto the priest? You're bringing this unto the priest. This is a ceremony that's about to take place. So you're bringing your sheaf of your harvest unto the priest, right? Mm-hmm. So read on to 11.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you.
Right.
On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it.
So when it says on the morrow after the Sabbath, it's not talking about a feast day. It's talking about after the regular Sabbath. And the reason why it's talking about a regular Sabbath is simple. It's talking about a regular Sabbath because the first day is on the morrow after the Sabbath, and the 50th day is on the morrow after the Sabbath. Say, for example, like back when we were at One West, what we would do is we would do it we would start counting, because even back at One West, we only celebrated the first day of unleavened bread, which is the Passover. We didn't celebrate the 7th day. Okay. But it's mandatory for you to celebrate both days, because it says that in Leviticus 23. So what we would do is the day after Passover, we would start counting the first fruits. And our first fruits will always wind up during the day of the week. Because anytime you're counting days, whatever day you start to count from, you're going to end up on that day. So if you start counting on a Tuesday, you're going to end on a Tuesday. Your 50 days is going to end on a Tuesday. So when it's talking about the morrow after the Sabbath, it's talking about the regular Sabbath. Because 9 times out of 10, if you say you start counting the day after the Passover, right? Who's to say that there's going to be a feast day right then? Because it has to be on the morrow after the Sabbath.
Right. So how's it going to land?
How's it going to land on the morrow after the Sabbath for the 50th day?
Right.
If it lands in the middle of the week.
It's not. It's not. And this is why, like how you have the brothers who celebrate, they say the new moon is the beginning of the new moon is what? The beginning of the week?
Beginning of the week, like the week start to count for the new moon.
Again. Now think about it. And this is not to get into a back and forth with them. The thing is this. If you celebrate it, right, you'll never be able to celebrate the Feast of First Fruits. And this is the reason why you'll never be able to celebrate the Feast of First Fruits from the first day to the 50th day. Because if your days of the week is determined by the moon, then that means that one day your Sabbath day could be on our Wednesday. Mm-hmm. The next day, the next month, your new moon could be on our Friday. Mm-hmm. I mean, your first day of the week could begin on our Friday. So now, if your Sabbath is constantly shifting, how can you count 50 days when that Sabbath is going to constantly shift?
Right. Right.
Because see, when the Most High created days, He didn't create moons first. When you read Genesis, the first chapter, it says what? The evening and the morning was the first day. And then it says, in the 7th day, He rested. Even when the moon was created in the 4th day, think about it. When the moon was created in the 4th day, man wasn't created till what? The end of the 6th day. Mm-hmm. So man wasn't created to the end of the 6th day to start to celebrate the new moon. By that time, in the 7th day, man rested. Right. Because man was created. Man had to be created last. Why is that? Everything had to be laid out for him in order to have dominion over.
Right.
So now, I got your hand, King. So now, your days of the week were established first. Then your months, then your years. But days of the week was established in Genesis, the first chapter. So when brothers talk about the new moon celebrates the first day of the week for them, they'll never be able to celebrate the first fruits based off of their days of the week is always going to change. And remember, it has to land, this feast day that you celebrate the first fruits, it tells you the first day you give the sacrifice is on the morrow after the Sabbath. I don't mean to jump ahead, but I just want to go, just jump right. Jump down. Jump down to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Right? And jump down to the 15th verse, quick fast, because we're gonna run through it anyway. But I desire read that just to show you what I mean. Because the first day is a sacrifice. You have to bring your crops to the Most High, and then you count 7 weeks. Read that, Isaiah, in 15, 23 and 15.
Leviticus 23 and 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, and from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering.
So the first wave offering was your barley harvest. So you'll count from the first offering, the first Sabbath, you're going to count something. Read on.
7 Sabbaths.
It's got to be 7 consecutive Sabbaths. And in those 7 consecutive Sabbaths, it has to equal something. Read on.
Shall be complete.
So 7 Sabbaths have to be complete, meaning 49 straight days have to be complete. But it has to be 7 Sabbaths within those 49 days.
Right.
You said this is the barley harvest, huh?
This is the barley, the wheat, everything. But now I'm just giving you understanding why the new moon isn't really the beginning of our weeks.
Right, because I was gonna say because there's gonna be times where based off of how many days is in a month, you might not the last week you might not even be able to complete a full 7 days.
Full 7 days.
So then how could you count a full
you can't
7 weeks?
Understand, you can't count a full 7 weeks if you're following that. This is why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Calendar.
Let's just deal with logic here. You understand? If you go to a calendar like how it's set up, you're gonna get 7 Sabbaths. This is how you know that's correct. It's the Gregorian. Look, like I said, if you're a farmer, and when we go back to that, you're gonna have to understand what a solar calendar is.
Right.
You're gonna have to understand. We're given understanding what a lunar calendar is. Both of them always existed. They always existed. Because you have to know, that's when it talks about the circuits of the sun. The circuits of the sun is based off the solar calendar. How do you think you're supposed to know these things? That's what when Solomon was talking about in the wisdom of Solomon. You have to know that. That's a solar calendar he's talking about. Because throughout the circuits of the sun gives you a winter, spring, summer, fall. You know for a fact, when the sun is at its furthest away from the earth, we just came out of winter. The sun doesn't really hit that earth directly like how that is, based off our location. It doesn't. Why? So you have to understand the circuits of the sun. So you need to know this. You got to count those days and this and all that. So that's all science. That's straight science. So if you don't understand a solar and understand that it's different from a lunar, you're missing out, King. But the thing is, the 7-day-a-week thing was established already. That was established first. Then the months of the year. That was all straight established, King. So you can't deal with one without dealing with the other. So when brothers are changing their week up, they'll never be able to celebrate the first fruits from the first Sabbath to the 7th Sabbath completely with 7 weeks, 7 Sabbaths consecutively. It just won't happen because based off them, their week ends shortly. Because with the lunar calendar, it's 29 or 30 days. Some months have 29 days in it. Some months have 30 days in it. You understand? And you know, so it'll never add up. So they'll never be able to celebrate the first fruits. So why would the Most High do that? He wouldn't. He just wouldn't. It makes no sense. You see what I'm saying? So now, go back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. We're going to just read it from the top. Go back to 11, where we left off at initially. Just to show you that this was just more than just giving crops. This was a whole ceremony. This was a whole big ceremony that was being done. You understand? So,
Who was reading?
Isaiah was reading that.
Leviticus 23 and 11. And he shall wave the sheep offering before the Lord.
It says, he shall wave the sheep offering before the Lord. Who's going to wave this sheep offering before the Lord? Somebody's waving the sheep offering. When you realize it, it's one of the sons of Aaron. This is why it was commanded that everybody comes to Jerusalem. Because one of the sons of Aaron was going to wave this sheaf offering. Read on.
To be accepted for you.
Right.
On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it.
So on the morrow after the Sabbath, on the morrow after the regular Sabbath, it was another Sabbath. And this Sabbath was the beginning of the Feast of First Fruits. And we're gonna get understanding on what was being done here.
So I wanted to ask a question. So pretty much we knew which Sabbath day to count from based off the growing of the crops.
Of course, because we were farmers, kid. We were farmers. See, we don't have that farming mentality now. Not everybody. Some of us do, but not everybody. Some of us do, you know. But when you're a farmer, you can determine when's when because you understand crops. You understand what seeds. Like, for example, certain crops can't grow in certain places. Like, for example, we was in I'm gonna give a perfect example. We was in this place, me and Noah Allah, we was in this place. And this woman's trying to sit there and convince me that she's growing oranges in her backyard. I laughed to the scorn. I'm like, you're not growing.
How big is the backyard?
Georgia?
No, this is in Newark.
Oh.
Nah.
She's trying to convince me she's growing oranges in her backyard.
Nah.
You're not.
Nah.
And I'm like, really?
You need a shitload of space, man.
And I said, listen, unless you're growing some hybrid orange or something like that, that's possible. Real orange, no, that's possible. Where do you think broccoli comes from? Because certain things can't grow in this region, so they made broccoli instead. You understand what I'm saying?
Isn't broccoli in the kale family?
This is why, broccoli is a hybrid.
It's a hybrid.
It's not in the kale family?
Broccoli, but we got to raise our hands. Remember, we got to raise our hands.
Yeah, come on.
But broccoli is a hybrid. We can't eat mingled seeds. The scriptures tell you that. So it's not. It's a monster. That's what it is. And I know we was all devastated. I found I couldn't eat broccoli. Devastated. Broccoli is good, but it's not lawful. And it's just because there's no nutritional value. There's no nutritional value at all in broccoli. So this is the reason why. You know, it's not. It's a mingled seed. The scriptures talks about that. So go to Deuteronomy, right? The 26th chapter. And Shalak, start at the first verse.
So Deuteronomy 26.
Deuteronomy 26, verse 1.
All right, this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 26. Are you using the restroom?
Yeah, come.
Oh, please be good. Deuteronomy 26, verse 1. And it shall be, when thou art come unto the land which the Most High thy God giveth thee.
Now remember, this is correlating with what we just read in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter and 11th verse.
When thou enterest into the land
Exactly.
and reap the harvest.
It's the same thing. Read on.
Thee for an inheritance, and possessed it,
Right.
and dwellest therein.
Right.
That thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth.
So this is the first fruits. This is the first day of the Feast of First Fruits. But it also goes into the 50th day. But this is the first day of the Feast of First Fruits. It says, thou shalt take all the first fruits of the earth. Read on.
Which thou shalt bring of thy land,
Right.
that the Most High thy God giveth thee,
Right.
and shalt put it in a basket.
And you shall take it and put it what? In a basket. So we know that sheaf offering in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, was actually put in a basket. It just wasn't something that the people just waving. No, you took this and you put it in a basket. Now think about this. Israel had to do this. Everybody that was an Israelite in that vicinity that was able to travel to Jerusalem with their crops was supposed to do this. Some people was too far off. We'll get into that after, how they had to cash their crops in. You understand? Because it would have made no sense. It was spoiled by that. You understand? So the thing is, this is what's going on. So now we know that sheaf was actually a basket. and it was given to the priest. So this is looking like a ceremony here. And this is why on this day, you were told to rest on this day. You know, and just let me show you how the Most High, how he is. Even though it's a Sabbath day, and we had to labor and cut down the crops and everything, do this and put this in there, and then bring it, pack it all up. Take this burden and give it to the priest. But it had to be done. You see what I'm saying? Because this is all a part of this ceremony. This is all a part of this ceremony because this is how the priests are going to eat. This is how the priests are going to live. This is the reason why you gave the first fruits. This is the reason why you gave the first fruits. Because the Levites had no offering and no lamb. The sacrifices of the Most High is their offering. I mean, the offerings of the Most High was their gift. That's what they were given. So finish reading that, King.
And shall go unto the place which the Most High thy God shall choose to place his name there. All right. Go to verse 3.
Yeah, keep reading.
And thou shalt go unto the priest that shall be in those days, and say unto him.
So the priest that is talking about the sons of Aaron. So you shall go unto the priest in those days, and this is what you were going to say to the priest.
I profess this day unto the Most High thy God, that I am come unto the country which the Most High swear unto our fathers for to give us.
So the Most High, this is what every man that brought crops said to the Most High. Every man that brought crops said this to the Most High. And this is why it was important for all males to appear before the Lord. You understand? This is why it was important on the first day and on the 50th day for all males to appear before the Lord. Because before you did anything, the Most High commanded you break his 10% off. Right? So this is what you had to do. Now, hold this right here, right? And I need Smiley over here. Right? I need you to go to the book of Tobit. Oh, he doesn't have a partner? Yeah. Yes, he does. Look at that. He told me. Page 36. So I know y'all holding a lot, but you got to hold a lot. Write this down the whole 9 yards. All right?
Tobit what?
Tobit, the first chapter. Page 36. Because now this goes into what you was being manipulated with them brothers over there, the God Church of Jesus Christ. And this is why the brothers is going through what they're going through now. Is what he's going through now. Because you can't rob the Most High. You can't rob the Most High like how you brothers rob the Most High like that and disguise it into other things, King. You know, like listen, it's what it is, King.
Just
you know.
this real quick.
You said go Tobit, you said?
Come Tobit, the first chapter. And the Smiling Prophet over there. That's his new name, the Smiling Prophet.
Chapter 1, verse what?
Start at verse 5.
Verse 5.
Come.
Tobit. Now all the tribes which together revolted in the house of my father, Naphtali.
Right, so Naphtali was one of the northern kingdom tribes.
Kind.
Remember, they all revolted when Jeroboam and Rehoboam split. In the northern kingdom, they went on to worship Baal. But read on. But not all the northern kingdom. But read on.
Sacrificed unto the heifer Baal.
So they all sacrificed unto the heifer Baal. Read on.
But I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast.
But Tobit, he said, the hell with that. My father and them, they sacrificed to Baal. He said, I alone, while they're sacrificing to Baal during the time of the Passover, Tobit was going to Jerusalem during the time of the Passover. And this was during the split with the northern and the southern kingdom. But he still was going to Jerusalem during the time of the Passover. Read on.
As it was ordained unto all the people of Israel.
Right.
By an everlasting decree.
So when brothers talk about we're not supposed to celebrate these feast days, out of their damn mind, man. It's these things are everlasting decrees. That means they don't go away. When we come back, we still supposed to be celebrating these things. And think about it. He's a part of a kingdom that's sacrificing the Baal. That's why he said, look, I alone was going to Jerusalem because it's an everlasting decree. You're not going to get him to sacrifice to Baal. He wasn't trying to deal with that. Read on.
having the first fruits in the 10th of increase.
So it says having the first fruits and the 10th of increase, right? Read on.
With that which was first shown.
So what was first shown? The barley was first shown. And then you came back, you gave the harvest, which was the wheat, that was first shown. Read on.
And them gave I at the altar to the priests and the children of Aaron.
Right.
The first 10th part of all increase I gave to the sons of Aaron, who ministered at Jerusalem.
So he said, listen, the first 10th part increase, he gave to who? The sons of Aaron. So the barley harvest that it came, he would take that and still bring it up to Jerusalem. This is what he would do. Read on.
Another 10th part I sold away and went and spent it every year at Jerusalem.
Now the other 10th part, he did what? He went away. He went away and he spent it, like he took his crops, cashed it in for money and brought it to Jerusalem. Because that was in the law also. And we're going to go over that also. So when brothers are saying, crops was only, your tithes is only crops, that's a lie. Why would Tobit do that then? Why would Tobit take the first 10th and then bring the crops, but then the second 10th, which was the wheat, he would bring the money? So it's showing you that what? Tithes wasn't only crops. It wasn't only crops. Because and he bought what now brothers say, oh, what he did was no, what he did wasn't off. I want to finish Leviticus, Deuteronomy 23rd chapter, rather, 26th chapter. Then we're going to go into and touching on why he did what he did. So read on in Deuteronomy 26. But hold on for a minute. Let me make sure that's done. Okay, yeah, we're done with that. So read on and go back to Deuteronomy 26. So now you understand when it was talking about, when they try to say 20%, it wasn't 20%. It was 10% of your barley and 10% of your wheat. You understand? Because you were tithe for the barley harvest, which was the earing time, and you were tithe for the wheat harvest, which was the harvest time. But that didn't say you take 20% from brothers every week. That's a lie. And that's why them brothers is going to pay. Because you're manipulating the scriptures, King.
Sorry.
And up until this point, nobody's brought out that understanding until just now. It wasn't talking about you tithe meant 20%. No, it meant the first day of the first fruits, you tithe your barley 10%. And the last day of the first fruits, you tithe your wheat 10%. That's what that means. So that and that, like I said, that's why that school's going down, not because they've been money hungry from the days that we was in there. Like the scriptures tells you in 1 Timothy 6:17, not 6:17. The love of money is the root of all evil. 2 Timothy, what's that?
I think
get that book fast. Then we get back to what we're dealing with. 2 Timothy's. Because
it says the root to all kinds of evil.
Yeah, it's actually 1 Timothy chapter 6 and
13
from verse 10. It says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil."
So money's not evil because the scripture tells you in Ecclesiastes, money's a defense.
Right.
But it says the love of money is the root of all evil, and that's what was that was the downfall of One West. Money. The bickering was always about money because of the love of money. You understand? So that's what 1 Timothy's what?
6 and 10.
So when men are talking about they gotta double tithe you based off Tobit, that's a damn lie. Talk about you gotta do this, you gotta do 20% every week. That's a damn lie. That's a lie.
Brothers wicked.
Brothers are wicked for saying that.
No, they did too.
Yeah, of course they did. And if you don't have, like I said, if you don't have understanding on farming and things like that, how you gonna know? But that also shows that, listen, Tobit not only gave crops, he gave money also. Because that's in the scriptures. But let's go back to Deuteronomy, the 26th chapter, and let the brother finish reading that.
Who was reading?
Yeah, it was me. I'm on verse 4. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 4. And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hand,
Right.
and set it down
So the priest takes the basket out of your hand and he sets it down.
before the altar of the Most High thy God.
So this showing you this is a ceremony right here. It's put on the altar, right before the altar of the Most High. Read on.
And thou shalt speak and say before the Most High thy God.
So this is letting you know, if every man is commanded to come to Jerusalem, this is what every man had to do. Every man that had a farm had to do this. Read on.
A Syrian ready to perish was my father.
That Syrian was referring to Abraham. Read
And
on.
he went down into Egypt and sojourned there with a few,
I'm sorry, let's talk about Jacob, brother. Salah. Not Abraham, let's talk about Jacob.
and
Because that's when
became
Jacob had went to get his wife, right?
Exactly. Come.
and became there a nation, great, mighty, and populous.
Right.
Verse 6. And the Egyptian evil entreated us,
Right.
and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage.
This is what they did, but this is what you're saying. This is what you're saying to the priest.
In Exodus, yeah.
This is what you're saying. This is what you have to recite. And this is what we will recite when we get back into the kingdom. Read on.
And when we cried unto the Most High thy God of our fathers, the Most High heard our voice and looked on our affliction,
Right.
and our labor and our oppression.
Right.
And the Most High brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand,
Right.
and with a outstretched arm,
Right.
and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders.
And we know he destroyed the 10 gods of Egypt with the plagues. He just broke down Egypt economically as a nation, just destroyed them. And Egypt hasn't been the same ever since. Think about that. Read on.
And he has brought us into this place,
Right.
and has given us this land, even a land that floweth with milk and honey.
Right.
And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land, which thou, O power, hast given me, and thou shalt set it before the Most High thy God, and worship before the Most High thy God.
Right.
And thou shalt rejoice in every good thing which the Most High thy God has given unto thee, and unto thine house, thou and the Levites, and the stranger that is among you.
So that's it on that, right? So now, it shows you what this is. This is a ceremony that all men had to appear before the Lord and do. They did it on the first day, and they did it on the 50th day. So now we're gonna go back, jump back up to Leviticus the 11th chapter, and we're gonna go into we're gonna go back into it again.
What verse? What was the last verse in Deuteronomy?
Oh, there's 11, fam.
So
We stopped at 11,
And
yeah.
you can actually read down. You can read down to 12. So,
Okay, read
but no, you don't have to read it, but read it on your own.
Oh, okay.
The whole chapter is a good chapter, though.
Come.
So, Josiah, you was reading that, right?
Yes.
Come,
Leviticus 23 and 11.
come.
It says, and he shall wave the sheaf, and this is the sheaf of the barley harvest.
Right. So this
Right.
is the sheaf of the barley harvest right here. Read on.
Before the Lord to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath.
So it was on the morrow after the Sabbath. Read.
All right.
So we now know that when it's talking about it was a sheaf, or according to Deuteronomy 26th chapter, we know it was a big basket. We know in that basket was placed before the altar. We came up, we recited. We said what we had to say. We read what we had to recite in Deuteronomy. We had to do all these things because what did we have to do? We had to make sure that the Most High accepted our sacrifice so that the rest of our crops wouldn't do what? Get destroyed.
God.
They wouldn't be destroyed. And so if you didn't come with your first fruits, you was taking a serious chance that your crops wasn't going to be plentiful. Whole list to prove that. Go to Proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
Proverbs, the 3rd chapter.
I got you.
You got
it? Proverbs chapter 3, verse, I think it's 10. No, it's 9.
9. Come.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9.
Everybody get it first.
Everybody have it?
Go ahead.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9. Honor the Lord with thy substance.
So now, when it says honor the Lord with thy substance, right? What do you think that whole thing we just read in Deuteronomy was about? Honoring the Lord with your substance. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you came before him and you recited. That's how you gave him honor and respect.
Mm-hmm.
By reciting our history of what he told our forefathers, he was going to promise us this land, and that when we got into that land, to make sure we gave our first fruits.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did, and that's what we're going to go back to. Mm-hmm. You understand? Read on.
And with the first fruits of all thine increase.
And with the what?
And with the first fruits of all thine increase.
Says, honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So now, let's examine what it says. It says, all thine increase. It just does not say corn or wheat. It says, all thine increase. Our firstborn sons we gave to the Most High. Mm-hmm. Our firstborn cattle we give to the Most High. So you're supposed to give a tenth of everything. It goes back to what I say. When brothers say that tithes is only crops, it's not to knock them on that. I say, you're right, tithes is crops, but it's not only crops. Because it says all your increase. Why do you think when the Most High, he chose certain men out of, he chose Judah, son of Hur, to be a blacksmith. To deal with the temple and build the artifacts in the temple. You understand? Like everybody has to put something forth. When we were building the temple, what was everybody doing? Giving earrings, they was giving the first fruits of the stuff they had. Give this, give the first fruits of their sheep. So it says all thine increase. The scriptures talks about how our wine was tied, our oil was tied, everything we created, we made was tied. Straight up. Everything we did was tied. So when you just say it was just this, now it just wasn't that. It was more to it than that. It was much more to it than that. So
verse 10.
Verse 10, come.
So shall thy barns be filled with plenty.
So now, if you didn't give a first fruit of all your increase, you know your barns wasn't going to be filled with plenty. That's why it says, honor him with thy first fruits. Read on.
And thy press shall burst out with new wine.
It says, so thy barns shall be filled with plenty, and thy presses, what's your presses? Your wine presses.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one thing we like to do. We like some of that Assassin's Creed. I can't wait to crack that bottle open. And of course, for the non-drinkers, grape juice, orange juice, grape juice, things like that. So it's Tawab. It's definitely Tawab, but a brother like me, So, but you had to do these things. But notice it says, all thine increase. So all your increase was tithes. Like I said, look, go to Hebrews, the 7th chapter. Gad, I want you to read this, King. Just got to step up in and start reading too. Give me something to read.
Which chapter?
Gad, the 7th chapter.
Gad, the 7th chapter.
I'm sorry, Gad, the 7th chapter.
That's a new book in the kingdom, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you, right?
Gad, right?
The book of Gad, how he shall overcome.
Exactly.
Thank you, King. That's right.
It's like a good movie title. That's a good movie title.
Hebrews chapter 7, verse 1.
Verse 1, come.
All right. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem.
So Melchizedek means the king of peace. Malak Tazadah, king of peace. The king of Salem. Read on.
Priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham.
So he met Abraham. Read on. What was Abraham doing? Was Abraham farming? Let's see what Abraham was doing.
Returning from the slaughter of the kings.
So he was returning from the slaughter of who? The kings. Because if you're just saying tithe is only crops, then if tithe was really only crops, why would Melchizedek be meeting Abraham right after the slaughter? He didn't wait. He's coming back from the battle. Who's meeting him on the way? Who's meeting Abraham on the way? Melchizedek. If you know the history of Melchizedek, you know Melchizedek was the Most High's high priest back in those times. From Abraham all the way up to the time of the Levites, till the Levites were set up. You understand? Melchizedek was there. Read on.
And blessed him.
It says, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings, and he blessed Abraham. Let's see what Abraham did.
To whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all.
So it says, what did he do? What did he do? Read that again.
Abraham gave a 10th part of all.
So Abraham gave a 10th part of not just the crops that he raided. He gave a 10th part of everything. And we all know if you're a king, what do you have? Let's just go down a list of things what a king has. We know they have gold. We know they have silver.
Jewelry.
We know they have jewelry.
Food.
We know they got food.
Land.
We know they got, well, you just raided their land, so you're coming back.
I mean, clothing.
But listen, fabrics, whatever they have, fabrics, this, that, the whole 9 yards. Everything that they had, it said he took a 10th of what? All. It didn't just say he took a 10th of his crops. Because if you're saying tithe is only crops, then it would be no reason for Melchizedek to take a 10th of all. He took a 10th. If they had wine, he took a 10th of that. If they have sheep, which you know, that's what we had. Every nation had cattle on their own land. You didn't have these supermarkets like this all lined up. And remember, he raided those lands. So just imagine they had hundreds of cattle coming back. So what did the Most High require? He wanted some of them cattle. Y'all got oil? We want some of that oil. We need this. Whatever you got, we want a 10th of. And that's what happened. Right after, he didn't wait. Right after. So when brothers try to say, oh yeah, well, you know, tithe is just crops, then why do you need a 10th of all? Like I said, Abraham wasn't raiding a cornfield. You know, he raided a city. Read on.
First being by interpretation, king of righteousness.
Right.
And after that, also king of Salem.
Right.
Which is king of peace. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God.
So now, this is not saying that he is the Son of God. He's made in that similar fashion. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he didn't have a mother or father. He just came into the spirit. The Most High just created him just to be the king of Salem. But some brothers was using this in the past to say, oh, this means that was Yahushua reincarnation. Now, that wasn't Yahushua. This is made like unto the Son of God. He was begat from the Most High. Made like unto him. That's why he didn't have any, you understand what I'm saying? The Most High created him. But it's not saying that he is the Most High. He was just a high priest. That's what he was. He was the high priest. And he's the one that tithed all the people. All right? But the reason why we're bringing this out is because, I'm bringing this out is because tithes was just more than just crops. As you can see, tithes was way more than crops. So now, let's, from here, go all the way back to where we was in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. So who's reading that? Desire?
Yes.
Read that. Finish picking up where we left at.
All right. And he shall wave the sheep before the Lord to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath.
Right.
For ye shall wave it. And ye shall offer that day when ye wave the sheep a he lamb without blemish
Right.
of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord.
And this is one of the sacrifices that we did. Although we understand that our sacrifices are put on the back burner based off what? Yahweh Shai being an ultimate sacrifice. When you read Hebrews, the 8th and the 9th chapter, it goes into that in depth. The blood of bullocks and lambs are nothing compared to the righteousness of the blood of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who died for our sins. So no calf or lamb should even be executed for that matter anymore. Just for the simple fact that what animal is more worthy than the Son of the Most High?
None.
None. And this is what Paul was explaining to the Hebrews about. He's like, y'all still doing sacrifices? Don't y'all realize that the king already came and went?
That's the Torah sinners he was talking
You understand? Well, I don't know who he was talking to. The
Yeah,
Pharisees
it was
and
just-
Sadducees.
No,
It's just some of our brethren.
When that Torah to the brothers here,
You mean the 5%? He's not Torah based. He's 5%.
Right.
yeah, he's
totally
just,
different guy.
he's just all over.
Yeah, but we ain't worried about him. He's a scoffer. You know, you got scoffers in all shapes, forms, and fashions.
Cut.
Cut.
But you just had some of our people in the New Testament that when they started relearning their nationality, that's what they thought they had to do.
Exactly.
Go back to the
You
Exactly.
understand?
Exactly.
And because during that time, that's what people were still doing.
Right.
Paul was letting it be known, like, look, you could do that, ain't nothing wrong, but we don't need to do that because Yahweh Shai is our sacrifice.
Exactly.
Right.
You understand? So that's what he's talking about when he say, let no man judge you in meat
or in sacrifice.
on sacrifice or drink offerings. Because a Christian will pull that and say, see, you can eat whatever you want.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
so
yeah,
then what's unlawful for us to drink?
But listen.
Wow.
But when it's talking about meat and drink, it's talking about the unleavened cakes.
Right.
It's talking about the unleavened cakes.
And the drink
So that's the
offerings.
meat offering, and that's the drink offering
Right.
it's talking about. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, and that's the whole thing. They
Right.
it's all
They
over.
have no idea what that means. And
don't
that's
understand
why
what that
I would ask a Christian, well then, what is the drink that it's talking about?
Right,
What's
exactly.
unlawful for us to drink then?
Exactly.
You know, and they wouldn't be able to tell you. But when you go to the Old Testament, in this chapter alone, Leviticus 23, it talk about a drink offering.
Right. They talk about we got
Yeah.
a drink offering.
Offering, yeah.
We gonna go, because we gave meat offerings and drink offerings on every feast day. The meat offerings were unleavened cakes. That's all that they are. It's not actual meat. They're unleavened
Right.
cakes mingled with fine flour, which we're gonna read. We're about to go into that right now. The next chapter, I think. The next verse, rather, I think it is. Con.
Right. And ye shall,
Verse 13, yeah, con.
verse 13. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deal of fine flour.
Right, so the meat offering shall be 2 deals of fine flour. So we know the meat offering is what?
It's the cakes.
It's the cakes, unleavened cakes. Read on.
Fine flour mingled with oil.
Right.
An offering made by fire
Right.
unto the Lord for a sweet savor.
So it's an offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savor. Read on.
And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine.
So now we know the drink offering shall be of what? Of wine. Read on.
The fourth part of an hin.
The fourth part of a hin. Now when you go into Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, everybody hold that, right? And I'm going to read it quick fast. In Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha.
So
It talks about the meat and the drink offering.
So when somebody pull this scripture and say, see, you can eat or drink whatever you want, all you gotta do is pull the scripture and say, this is the meat that it's talking about,
Right.
and
Talk
this
about-
is the drink that it's
exactly.
talking about.
So what are you
It's a
talking
cut right
about?
there.
Right. And all that's saying is, if somebody want to, like, if somebody's doing the unleavened cakes or like how we pour out the wine, we can do it. You can't judge me for doing that, although the sacrifices are done away. But I can still do the meat offering. I can still do the drink offering. You got your hand up here?
Yeah, what's that scripture you going to next?
Ecclesiasticus.
Sirach, okay.
Ecclesiasticus, the 50th chapter, and the 15th verse.
You said the 15th verse?
Come on.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 50 verse 15. He stretcheth out his hand to the cup,
Right.
and poured of the blood of the grape. He poured out at the foot of the altar a sweet smelling savor unto the Most High.
Right, the blood of the grape we know is what? That yayan.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. It must be better than Assassin's Creed. God, my mind is on Assassin's Creed.
Unto the Most High, King of all.
So there's nothing the matter with still doing the drink offering or the meat offering because it's all in Yahweh Shai anyway. And then when you think about it, on a spiritual level, the meat offering and the drink offering represented Yahweh Shai. What did he do at the Passover? This is my body. Right. He said, what? Eat this in remembrance of me.
Right. Yeah.
And then he took the blood of the grape. Right. He said, drink this in remembrance of me. So when you want to make unleavened cakes during these feast days, that's still lawful because it's the remembrance of Yahweh Shai.
Come.
It's the remembrance of the body and the blood of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai.
And he said, do it often.
Go to Colossians. Go to Colossians so we can use because this we skating around. Let's just skate on it. Let's just skate on it, King. So now, because now people understand what the meat and the drink offering is. You know, because even amongst Israel, they would break this down wrong. You don't want nobody to break it down wrong. You know, you want everybody to have that understanding. And when you get that understanding, it's the battle that's won because you want to give the right understanding to these scriptures. But sometimes we can be going into things wrong. So read that in Colossians.
Colossians 2:16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink.
So it's talking about meat or in drink. What is it talking about? The meat offering or the drink offering? Because then we went into it. Talk about said when Yahushua said what? Do this what?
In the remembrance of me.
In remembrance of me. So yeah, we could do the meat, and that's why at every Passover, what do?
The Passover lamb.
We do it in remembrance of Yahushua.
That's right.
You understand? And the thing about it is, we can do it on any feast day.
Yep.
And you know why? Because we just read in Leviticus. What was we doing? We was drinking the blood of the grape. And we was making an unleavened cake. So read that again, King.
Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink.
So in meat offering or in drink offering, read on.
Or in respect of an holy day.
Right.
Or of the new moon.
Right.
Or of the Sabbath days.
Or of the Sabbath days. So let no man judge you on that. No man can judge us on how we're doing it. And why we're doing it. You know. And that's why I don't, you know, for brothers that celebrate the first fruits earlier, I don't go against that. As long as they do it. You see what I'm saying? But I just like to give understanding of why our first day begins today. Opposed to our first day beginning like right in the springtime, like a couple of days after winter. Based off of knowing that these are harvest days. Based off us being farmers. That it's impossible to do. But I don't knock it. You understand? Because as long as brothers do it. You know, and that's the battle. As long as brothers do it. If that's what you want. You want brothers to be on that same path.
Y'all can write this scripture down. The book of Numbers, chapter 28, verse 14. Y'all don't got to go to it. I'm going to just read it real quick. It says, and their drink offerings shall be half an hin of wine unto a bullock, and a third part of an hin unto a ram, and a fourth part of hin unto a lamb. This is the burnt offering of every month throughout the months of your years.
What's that Numbers what?
Numbers 28, verse 14. And that whole chapter, it just goes into like different feast days and the different sacrifices. It goes in all the sacrifices. And the drink offerings that was there.
It goes parallel to Leviticus 23rd chapter. Leviticus 23rd chapter gives you the understanding on what is to be done on those feast days. Numbers, the 28th chapter, tells you what sacrifices were done on those feast days. And when you check out all those feast days, or most of those feast days, you had the wine and the drink offering and the meat offering on those feast days being done. And that's why Yahushua said, do this often in remembrance of me. So we can still do those unleavened cakes during the feast days. Because they're done anyway. We just read, like I said, when we go back to finishing up Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, when we finish that up, right? Once we do that what we just read was the meat and the drink offering that it was talking about. So you can't get around that. You know, we don't only have to remember how much Yahweh shot on the Passover. We should remember him continually.
Christian
He's the
apologetics
Savior.
mad now.
Exactly. Well, let him be mad. They want some, come get some.
Okay.
We give him some spiritual lumps. Look, dude, we already got
All
a
of them.
rate. The G-Man is down for the count. He went around New York like a chicken with his head cut off now, right?
Yep.
He's out. He's out to lunch. More the merrier, King.
He's whack.
You know? So like I said, they're there, but I'm going to tell you what they are. They're, when it talks about how it talks about when the disciples, whoever the disciples went, and the Jews cause contention, that's who they are.
Yep.
They don't, because, you know, and this is how you know who they are. They never went after the Pharisees or the Sadducees. They never went after the elders or the scribes.
Yep.
They never went after the proselytes. They only went after the brothers teaching the faith. That's who those guys, everybody plays a part. Everybody scoffs in their own way. Why is that you never see them out there? The Jehovah's Witnesses can be set up right across the street. They won't mess with them.
Right, and they don't even agree with the Jehovah's Witnesses, but they don't mess with the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Exactly.
Won't say a word to them.
Exactly, but that's how you know they're the scoffers,
and that's how you know we got the truth.
And that's how you know we got the truth. They're scoffers, and we got the truth because they don't mess with the Catholic Church. You know, the Mormons come through all Newark, right? They don't mess with the Mormons.
Morons.
But they're right. But they'll be at our camp though. He'll be at our camp, right? Scoffing, scoff. So that shows you that they're true agents of Satan, and that we got the truth. So you know we got the truth. Think about it. And the Catholic Church is the biggest hypocrisy in the world. Molesting little boys, homosexuality running rampant, murder. The Catholic Church was built off murder. You understand? They've made and although we started the Catholic Church, but they've come to the height of their power during a murderous time.
Assassinating different people.
A lot of murder going on with that, man. You know, their hands are bloody. They're not about Christ, but they don't mess with them. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about the molestation of all the little boys all throughout the world that's coming out. But they won't talk about us.
They worry about us following the law.
Us quote unquote ragtag angry black men and Hispanic men. That's how they look at us.
But won't say nothing about the Mormons.
Right.
And they was the ones that say people of our kind can't join their congregation.
Exactly. But now they want us to join. Get the hell out of here with that.
Hey, Og, did we read verse 18 yet in Leviticus 23?
Nah, we're gonna go through it right. We're going through it now.
All right. Because this is another cut for that meat and drink offering thing too.
That's why I said we're gonna go all through it because it just shows you what it's talking about, King. You know? So Leviticus the 23rd chapter, verse 14.
And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears.
Now, why couldn't you eat bread or parched corn or green ears? You couldn't eat none of these things because they was made with barley. So you can't eat of these things until you give the Most High what? His first fruits. How you gonna eat before the Most High eats? How are you gonna give get your portion, take your portion off top before the Most High gets his portion? The Most High wants his portion off top. That's why it says you should not eat parched corn nor green ears until the self-same day ye have brought an offering unto your God. You couldn't eat nothing till the Most High got his. He said, don't eat nothing. Because then guess what? If you ate, then you're not giving him his first fruits. You took his first fruits. And you can't do that. You see? And well, we're going to get into that after. But finish reading that, King.
All right, and ye shall neither eat bread nor parched corn nor green ears unto the selfsame day that ye brought an offering unto the Lord. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings.
Right.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering. 7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
So now, in the earing time, the first day after the morrow after the Sabbath, from that point, you're supposed to count 50 days, or 7 Sabbaths rather, until, and we all know 7 times 7 is what? 7 days a week.
49.
7 weeks. 7 times 7 is 49. So once you count 7 Sabbaths, which is 49 days, on the 50th day that's where they get the word Pentecost from. It's because it's Greek for Pentecosta.
Right.
Okay? That's where they get Pentecost from. So, and that's why when people say, when people say to me, are you going to the day of Pentecost? I'm like, no. On the first day is not the day of Pentecost. The first day is the first fruits. The 50th day you can call Pentecost, because Pentecost means 50. Day of 50. The first day isn't the Pentecost. It's the first fruits. But we just brought out in the spirit how the first day is to be celebrated, because then in the 50th day comes, you have to come back and do it all over again. And we're about to read that. Read on.
All right. Until the 17th same day that ye brought an
So read it from the top of 16 again.
All right.
I'm sorry, read it from 15 again from the top.
15?
Yeah.
Oh, and ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheep of the wave offering.
Right.
7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
Right.
All right. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days.
So even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days. Now the day of 50 or Pentecosta is the 50th day. Read on.
All right. And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
So now it says, you shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. That meat offering is what? 2/10 deal of fine flour. Read on.
Ye shall bring out of your habitation 2 wave loaves,
right,
of 2/10 deal. They shall be a fine flour.
Right. There you go. See, I know the instructions, King. I don't know why, but I just know.
They shall be baken with leaven.
They shall what?
Be baken with leaven.
Now these shall be baken with leaven. You understand? Read on.
All right. They are the first fruits unto the Lord.
Because they are the first fruits unto the Most High. Read on.
All right. And ye shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish,
right,
of the first year, and 1 young bullock, and 2 rams. They shall be for a burnt offering unto the Lord,
right,
with their meat offering,
right,
and their drink offering,
right,
even an offering made by fire of sweet savor unto the Lord.
Now we all know during this time we don't do those sacrifices or anything, but it's gonna be put back up in the kingdom. Those sacrifices. Read on.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure. Now, in this sheep that shall be waved, this is going to be of the wheat harvest now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because notice, the first day was what?
Yeah. The barley.
The barley
harvest. It was the air time.
And how you know this? Again, go back to Exodus the 34th chapter. Because this was done twice. You notice it was done twice. That's why we read Tobit. And in the first one, he said he bought his crops in Jerusalem. And the second one, it said he did what?
He brought money too.
He brought money to Jerusalem.
Yep.
Now he could have bought crops if he wanted to, but instead he bought money. But we're gonna go into that after shortly. Exodus, read that again. Exodus 34.
Exodus 34 and 22.
Come, read 21 rather. Read 21. That again.
6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest.
Right.
In earing time.
Right.
And in harvest thou shalt rest.
So when we read in earing time, right, and then we went to Exodus 9:31, it let you know barley was in earing time. That's why we went to that scripture, because barley is growing first before wheat. So in earing time, it's your barley harvest, right? And in harvest time, it's your wheat harvest. This is why we do what we do. So the first day is a day of rest, and the 50th day is a day of rest. And when you read in the Hebrew, It says Shabbat. That's what it says. Because it says 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. So when you read it in the Hebrew, it says Shabbat. Then it says, in the earing time and in the harvest time thou shalt rest. Or in other words, it shall be a Sabbath unto you. So it's letting you know the first day is a Sabbath unto you, as well as the 50th day is a Sabbath unto you. Why? Because when you bought your sheaf harvest, that was a ceremony.
Right.
That's why we read Deuteronomy, the 26th chapter, because it was a whole ceremony. Every man had to do it that brought their harvest to the priest. Every man. And that's why it says in Proverbs, honor the Lord with thine increase. Because if you didn't, your crops wouldn't be plenteous. Nothing you had would be plenteous. The Most High would have plagued you. But this is why we did that. And like I said, we're still going to address the money part that Tobit did. We're going to address that also. To show you that tithes wasn't only crops, it was money also. And when you would tithe anytime you gave increase. This is why when brothers say, yo, pay your tithes weekly, that's your increase. That's your increase. Because you get, first of all, it all comes from the Most High anyway. If I worked at a place and they gave me free wine every week, if I worked in the Assassin's Creed factory and they gave me a free case of wine every week, I'm gonna get my tithes. It'd be hard, but I'm gonna get my tithes, boy. No. But I'd give 10% of it. Anything that you give, you give. And this is why I pay tithes weekly. Or if you get paid bi-weekly, you pay tithes bi-weekly. Because it's part of your increase. And see, there's reasons behind all of this. There's reasonings behind all of this. You see? There's reasons behind all of this. You know, and that goes into when we talk about Malachi. When the Most High said, shall a man rob the Most High? They said, how do you rob me? In tithes and in offerings. That's what he says. You rob me in tithes, you rob me in offerings. You know, so, and not only that, let's keep it real. Who has a farm? Who raises crops? Who has cattle? Nobody in this day and age, because we don't even have power.
Right.
But what do we have? We have jobs. Yes, Carl.
This is how the Christians get away, though.
We don't care about how the Christians get away, but go ahead.
Yeah, this is how they get away with it, because they use those, the scriptures as an excuse to obtain money.
Oh, you mean, you're right. But listen, Israel was doing it too.
Yeah. They learned it from us.
Listen. When I say Israel, people who know the truth. What you think they was doing at the old school? They charging these brothers 20% tithes. Charging men 20% tithes.
20% tithes.
Back, and they had priest fund, this fund, that fund.
Passover fund.
You know, now it's not the matter with that because that goes into 3 times a year.
Right.
That goes into 3 times a year. But when I got to give you a personal priest fund, and Paul said, it's nothing to see. And the thing about it is this: it's nothing to matter with a person having a payroll. Be honest about it, though. If you Negroes is trying to be slick with it, you understand, and disguising it, like if you're young and you're healthy and you're able to do this, if you're young and healthy, you should have a job. Paul was a tip maker. And he said, I could charge you, but I'm not. So where do men get off wanting to charge for the Most High's word? Now, if that's what you do and your congregation agrees to it, fine. But if your congregation is not for that, how come you can't force that down their throats? And that's what men was doing at the old school. You know, so finish reading this in Leviticus, where we at in the 23rd chapter.
All right, Leviticus.
And we in 23 verse 20.
23. We're in 20?
Okay.
We had left off in
19. We ended at 19. And we're in 20.
All right, come on.
Leviticus 23 verse 20.
Okay. Are you sure?
Come on, come on.
Yeah,
read it.
All right. Leviticus 23 and 20. And the priest shall weigh them with the bread of the first fruits, which is the wheat.
Right. This is the wheat. Because it's the 50th day. It's the wheat harvest. We're going to go into that.
Yeah. For a wave offering before the Lord.
Right.
With the 2 lambs.
Right.
They shall be holy to the Lord for the priests.
Right. So, in other words, what you did on the same thing you did in the first day, you did the wave offering again in what? The 50th day.
Right. So I want to make sure I got a clear understanding. So on the first day, we brought the wave offering,
right,
which was the barley, right? Then we counted 7 Sabbaths.
Right.
Then when the 7 Sabbaths came, right? That's when we offered the 2 loaves of bread,
right,
with
which represented the wheat,
which represented the wheat, and then we did the wheat offering and the same ceremony that we do in Deuteronomy 26.
Gotcha. The same exact thing, because that's what the wave offering was all about, King.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And to prove that, right? Stop right there. Go to Deuteronomy 16, verse 16. Actually, it's before 16. Deuteronomy 16, verse
9.
9. Come. Because it shows you when you're supposed to start counting. So who wants to read that?
I'll read it.
Yeah,
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 9. 7 weeks shall thy number unto thee.
Right.
Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
So now, it says 7 weeks thou shalt number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks. It says, as soon as thou begin to put the sickle to the corn. Now, when you read that in Hebrew, it translates to katamal, which goes into barley hops. So it's showing when you start to count your 7 weeks, you start to count your 7 weeks from the time you cut down your barley and give that sacrifice, then you count 7 weeks. Then, after that 7 weeks, the 49 days is up to 50th day, that's the Feast of Weeks, the last day. When you start counting from the time of the end of the barley harvest, the end of the barley harvest, which is the first day of the first fruits, you count 7 weeks. The 50th day is the Feast of Weeks, the Feast of Wheat. Read on.
And thou shalt keep the Feast of Weeks.
And that's why another name they call it is what? The Feast of Weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Read.
Unto the Lord thy God with a tribute of a free will offering of thine hand.
Right.
Which thou shalt give unto the Lord thy God according as the Lord thy God hath blessed thee.
Right. So based off how you was blessed, how your crops came in, that's what you gave.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you did it. So finish reading this and go back to Leviticus. And finish reading that Leviticus.
All right. Leviticus 23 and 21.
Right.
And ye shall proclaim on the self-same day that it may be an holy convocation unto you.
And ye shall proclaim on the self-same day that it may be a holy convocation unto you. Another what? Gathering. Mm-hmm. Because this is what you did. You brought that basket before the altar.
Right.
So that's why on the first day it was a holy convocation and the 50th day was a holy convocation. Mm-hmm. Read on.
Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Ye shall do no servile work therein. Now, this is going into laborers' work. Mm-hmm. Work for hire, so to speak. Because you were doing work. What was the work you was doing? Bringing your sheep, your basket to the priest.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You was bringing, so that's a burden. And it talks about no burdens, but that wasn't talking. So that's why I said servile work. No work for hire. Mm-hmm. This was that's why in Leviticus, we just read in Deuteronomy, what else was this called? A free will offering. Because you're supposed to be giving these things freely. Right. Nobody should be forcing you to pay to bring your crops. Mm-hmm. It's a free will offering. It's not only a wave offering, but it's a free will offering also. You should be willingly wanting to pay your crops. Bring your tithes to the Most High. So when brothers say, oh, well, no, free will offering was paying tithes. Mm-hmm. Because you're doing it freely. Nobody, and that's why they said not with constraint. Don't bring it with constraint. Not even. So read on.
All right. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field.
So it says, when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field. Read.
When thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest.
It says, neither shalt thou gather the gleaning of thy harvest. And there was a reason for this. This was like this was like a welfare system that we had set up for our people. Read on.
Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger.
Right.
I am the Lord your God.
So the poor and the stranger that was always among us, that's even among us to this day, you left that for them. So when it's talking about gleaning, that means if your basket was full, whatever will fall off the side of your basket, you wasn't going to pick that up.
Right.
Leave it there.
Right.
It's not going to kill you. Here it is, you got about 100 things of corn up in there. 5 fall off. Oh, yeah, 5, I don't know. No, just leave it there.
Yep.
Because you're always going to have the homeless among you.
Right. And then when the homeless see it, it's like, oh, I got some food.
Exactly.
They pick it up. You know?
Exactly.
And this also show you that the strangers receive the crumbs.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that
exactly.
that the strangers that was amongst us, they received the crumbs. That's what it was.
God,
No, that's just what that is. That's just what that is.
That also kind of take you when
the dogs take
the crumbs from the master table.
That's
the crumbs from the master table.
So that she knew, that's how she knew her place. Like even the dogs would take the crumbs off the table.
It just
That's the other nations, right, King?
Mm-hmm.
That's for you.
But also just show like the mercy we kept for the poor and our people, because we had some of Israel had big fields.
Yeah, we had land. We had land.
What you looking for, Op?
So
I got it right now.
Okay.
So all that fell and dropped. That was a lot that fell and dropped.
Yeah.
We had machinery and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, we had all types of hydraulic machines to pick stuff up and things like that. You know, so the thing like men weren't mechanically inclined. Nah, men had mechanisms and mechanics, and we know about basic hydraulic systems and all that.
Right.
You know how to make things to glean our crop, to pick up our crops fast and stuff like that. We have machinery. You know, it was just more from a natural aspect. So go to Numbers, the 14th chapter. No, that's not it. It's the wrong chapter. Yeah.
While you're looking for that, I wanted to pull a scripture real quick. Leviticus 19, verse 9 and 10, it says, "And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest." So when we read in Leviticus, with the gleanings is the stuff that fall off, right? We wasn't allowed to pick that up because that was for the homeless or that was for the strangers, right? But now here is also saying the corners of your fields. All of the corners, you pretty much had to leave that for them as well. And then it reads on, it says, "And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your God." And then there's other scriptures that when it talks about the same law, the same way how we had to leave that there for our people who may have been homeless or strangers traveling through our land. It's another scripture that tell you they couldn't just take like a bucket or a bag and start gathering stuff and then try to make money off of it too. You know what I'm saying? It was literally for you hungry, you need food that day, you pick what you could get and then that's it. You know what I mean? Because some people, nations
would try to do that.
The other nations and Israel is hustlers, man.
So funny you said don't take the corners, because I remember visiting family members that do own farms and stuff. And one aunt, when she went and got the corn, she always started from the middle of the field, and she always moved into like a circle.
Wow!
So by the time we got finished, we never really touched the four corners of the field.
Wow!
So now that's kind of ill when you said don't touch the corners.
In the South, they would do that in the South. That was big in the South, and they probably don't know why.
And they don't even know why they do it. That's spiritual.
I was about to ask you, do you know, like, maybe there was a gardening reason why that was, but never.
Well, in the South?
Yeah, I had a question for you because you know about Garnier.
Right.
Maybe the reason why they did it, but then you just said that there's really no reason to just do it.
It's a spirit. It's a spirit thing. It's just like, certain things, like even when you first came in the truth, certain things that you was already doing from the world, but when you came to the truth, then you understood why you was doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like connected with your spirit. It's always one or two things that we've done that connects with our spirit.
Right.
That when you come to the truth, you're like, oh, okay, this is why I was doing that, because of this. But go to Numbers, the 18th chapter.
Oh, what do you read? Leviticus 12.
That was 19 verse 9 and 10.
Come on, did you finish that, King? Was you finished?
Yeah, I read it.
Numbers what he quote? I'm
That
sorry.
was 19 verse
No, what
9
did
and 10. He just said Numbers 18.
Number 18.
Go to verse
13.
I'm going to tell you what it started at. Start at verse. Verse 2.
Numbers 18 verse 2. And thy brethren also of the tribe of Levi, the tribe of thy father, bring thou with thee, that they may be joined unto thee.
Right. So this is talking about when the Most High took Levi and gave them to the sons of Aaron. All right. This is what this is going into. All right. Because the sons of Aaron was separated from the Levi. The sons of Aaron had the highest office and the highest calling of the Levites. You understand? And this is the Most High reestablishing the priesthood, but not through Melchizedek anymore, like we read about in Hebrews, but through Aaron and his sons and the Levites. So finish reading that.
And minister unto thee.
Right.
But thou and thy sons with thee shall minister before the tabernacle of witness.
So the Levites was going to minister unto the sons of Aaron. The sons of Aaron was going to minister unto the Most High, in other words. So these were the levels of the priesthood now. Jump down to the 6th verse.
Verse 6.
Because from three on down talks about how they were going to be different positions, like the sons of Merari, the sons of Kohath. The sons of Merari, when you look at the tabernacle, they were the ones that carried the poles and the tent. They carried that. The sons of Kohath carried what? The Kohathites. What they carried? The Ark of the Covenant. That was their job. Then later on in history, David even added the sons of Asaph. They were the what? The musicians, the singers. They sang continually in the temple. But you had different families that did different things amongst the priesthood. They were all given unto Aaron and his sons to minister. Because then when the temple was built, they all had jobs. They were porters, this and all that. They all had positions to play. And only the sons of Aaron can touch everything in the temple. The Kohathites, they were the only ones that can touch the Ark of the Covenant outside of the sons of Aaron, but they couldn't go in there. They couldn't go in there and touch nothing on the inside, though. They can only bear the burden of it.
That's why they when David was bringing the ark back,
the brother touched it.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing he was doing because it was about to fall.
Right, but the Lord had to set the example to communicate it to them, and that's why they went to the brother Obed house,
right?
Because he just so happened to be a Kohathite.
But see, again, that's why I had to go into the history, because remember they just got the ark back, so they was happy.
Yeah.
So they celebrated and everything and this and all that. But that's what they was like, hold up, you know what? We gotta chill.
And the Most High was showing mercy with them up until that point. Because they had already took the ark, and put it on top of an ox and the whole nine. They supposed to been got killed then.
But
the Most High was tolerating it, and then it just got too much, and the Most High was like, nah, man.
Here we go. Still the drop dead. Because it was out of zeal they was doing it.
Right.
That's what they was like, hold up. Oh, we gotta get a Kohathite over here now. Let's stay right there until we figure out what we're going to do with it. And the Most High blessed his household.
Right.
But you can't, the Most High had the mercy. Okay, we got it back. You're singing, you're dancing. Okay, it's a little crazy, but you just can't get too crazy. But now you're getting that. They're touching it too much. You're touching it too much.
Like a little kid.
I got it. Poof. You dropped that. You gave the spirit, but it was the example, like you said, the example had to be set. But everybody had an office. The Levite families had offices. Verse 6. Read verse 6 in our Numbers.
Verse 6. And I, behold, I have taken your brethren, the Levites, from among the children of Israel.
Right.
To you they are given as a gift for the Lord, to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation.
So they were given unto Aaron and his sons as a gift unto the Lord. So now, if a whole tribe is given unto Aaron and his sons as a gift, that means that what? They have responsibility for what? The tabernacle of the congregation. So they got to do all the many different facets of the tabernacle of the congregation. Read on.
Therefore thou and thy sons with thee shall keep your priest office for everything of the altar.
Right. So all y'all are going to do is deal with everything regarding the altar. Everything regarding the altar, the sacrifices, that's y'all's job. But they're going to be your help, your assistants.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do with everything else. So they're going to be cleaning up, doing this, doing that, the whole 9 yards. Read on.
And within the veil, and ye shall serve.
Right. And so Aaron and his sons were going to be within that veil, the holies of holies. That's what it's talking about. Mm-hmm. They can't come into the holy of holies. Only y'all can. Mm-hmm. That's it. Read on.
I have given your priest office unto you as a service of gift, and the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death.
Right, so anybody that comes nigh shall be put to death.
Y'all was just about to say
And
that stranger is anybody.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
If you're not Aaron and his sons, you're gonna die if you're back there.
Yep.
They used to tie the thing around the ankles, right?
Like similar, right? So similar to how like this, right?
Yeah.
When you had Sceva and his 7 sons trying to exorcise demons, they was like, "Yo, Yahushua I know, Paul I know,
But
who the hell are you?
Yep.
We don't know you."
Mm-hmm.
They were strangers to that whole process. Like, yo,
Yep.
we know all the men who have that power from the Most High. Who the hell are you cats? You vagabond cats. So they had to let them know. But now on this side, if you weren't one of the sons of Aaron, you have to be, hey, what's going on back? Poof. That's it. Behind this curtain number 2. No, that's the wrong curtain to go behind, kid.
Yeah.
That's the curtain you don't want to know what's behind, kid.
You shouldn't have been in there in the first place.
You should not have been there in the first place.
Yeah.
But because Aaron and his son's gift was to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Their gift was to serve Aaron. That was their blood. You serving Aaron and his sons. Aaron and his sons serves the Most High. That's how it went down. So that's why when brothers talking about putting back the Levite priesthood and this and all that, you got who's the sons of Aaron? And this is why we were made a nation of priests. So we're allowed to do these, like lawfully today. I'm not one of the givers of the law.
Right.
You understand? That was Aaron and his sons back in the day, but Christ had to come back and change that. That's why it tells you in Hebrews 7:14. He came out of Judah, not out of the priesthood. Mm-hmm. So we're allowed to teach this law and go into the law and this and that, no matter what tribe you're from.
So do that go back into the order of Melchizedek?
What's that?
The
priesthood?
The priesthood order now.
It's the same thing that was going on back then. It was the same priesthood, except Aaron and his sons are in charge of it.
Mm-hmm. No, I know then it was the Leviticus, but before Leviticus it was
the order of Melchizedek, right? Before it was the order of Melchizedek first, but now it's the order of the Levite priest with Aaron and his sons,
right?
So but it's the same law.
So in this time, it's not. It's still.
It's just the same law.
It's the same thing, just without dealing with the order of
the order.
Without the priesthood of Aaron and his sons.
Right.
It's the same law, but without the priesthood of Aaron and his sons. And we're not. And because of that, that's why a part of the reason why we don't do the sacrifice.
So I asked that question because I heard some brothers was like, well, we call this the order they call now. Instead of since there's no more Leviticus priesthood, that this is supposed to be the order of Melchizedek.
This isn't the order of Melchizedek. What's Melchizedek? Are we paying homage to Melchizedek? Is Melchizedek? No. That was during the time from Adam all the way up to the Levitical priesthood.
Right. Okay.
That's when that was from.
You could tell that
it's just the priesthood. Like it's just the law. We just deal with the law and we deal with Yahweh. This is the order of Yahushua.
See, you know what
Yahushua set the order.
That had came from when I was part of.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of stuff to come from that's wrong. But that's the order, the order of Yahushua. This is what we under.
Right.
Yahushua became the high priest now. Mm-hmm. So we're under the order of Yahushua. He's the high priest. That's why no man on this planet can call himself high priest.
Right.
Because Yahushua is the high priest now.
That's how.
Because he took the order from Aaron and his sons temporarily till the kingdom.
See, that's why we get understanding from, because the way how they taught it was
Kanye,
it was Melchizedek, and that's why it's the rankings. That's why we have the rankings
of
now.
Melchizedek now, King, and Melchizedek is a great entity because he's no father, no mother, so you know he's high up in that totem pole, King. I don't know what order. I know he's not second. I know that. Right. Yahushua is second in command of everything. But he's up there because he has no father or mother. Made like unto the Son of the Most High. So that means he had to come from the Most High, like how Yahushua did. He had to. You understand? So, jump down to verse 9.
Verse 9. This shall be thine of the most holy things, reserved from the fire.
And I'm just jumping around. When you break down, read over this on your own. Because it's very good to read. Read on.
Every oblation of theirs, every meat offering of theirs,
right,
and every sin offering of theirs, and every trespass offering of theirs, which they shall render unto me,
right,
shall be most holy for thee and for thy sons.
Right. Read it. Read on.
In the most holy place shalt thou eat it. Every male shall eat it. It shall be holy unto thee. And this is thine, the heave offering of their gift,
right,
and all the wave offering of the children of Israel.
So did we just read about the wave offering?
Uh-huh.
You know what the wave offering is about? Was regarding the first fruits. The heave offering is talking about when you cut up that ox, the sacrificial part. The heave was the best of that meat. You ain't gonna give the Levite priest the rump. They want the goods. They want the Angus part of this beef. They don't want the rump. They don't want the oxtail. You're not gonna give the Levites the oxtail. They don't want that. They get that back to you. Take that. We want this. Because think about it. The Levites were butchers. They were expert butchers, man. Because you gotta know what a heave is. You gotta know what these things are. Read on.
Baby.
What? Oh,
is everything cool?
Yeah. All right. Verse 11. And this is...
Smiley got a question.
My question is, the Levites, it seemed like to me, had a lot of different positions. How many different positions did they have?
That's a class, King. I got that.
Yeah,
class, King.
Yeah.
Write it down. Write it down
now.
in the
I
page.
got a class. It's not gonna go down now. It's just a class in itself.
Yeah.
Right,
So look, really, write it down though. Write it down.
That's a class. I knew you was gonna ask that. Huh? It's just spirit. You know. And so jump down to 11.
And this is thine, the heave offering of their gift, with all the wave offering of the children of Israel.
Right.
I have given them unto thee, and to thy sons, to thy daughters, with thee, by a statute forever. Everyone that is clean in thine house shall eat of it.
So now, during these sacrifices, if the sons of Aaron's sons and daughters was clean, they can eat of it. If they weren't at the time, they couldn't. This is the reason why it says all males must appear before the Lord. So Aaron and his sons, they ate of the holy things, which was those heave offerings. How do you think, first of all, this is why you had to pay tithes. This is why you gave the firstling of your flocks. So Aaron and his sons can eat. So the Levites can eat.
Because during that time, it wasn't like the Levites had a proportion of the land like
we're gonna go into
else.
that, King. We're gonna go into that. Read verse 12.
This is an example of tithes right here.
Right. We're gonna go into that.
All the best of the oil.
So the oil was tithes. Read on.
And all the best of the wine.
The wine was tithes. Read on.
And of the wheat. The first fruits of them which they shall offer unto the Lord. Them have I given thee.
Right. So read on.
And whatsoever is first ripe in the land.
Whatsoever is first ripe in the land. Read on.
Which they shall bring unto the Lord shall be thine. Everyone that is clean in thine house shall eat of it.
Right. Jump down to the 21st verse.
Verse 21. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth of Israel for an inheritance.
All the tenth what? In Israel.
I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance.
So what does that mean?
Everything in Israel was considered to be tithes. The tenth.
Everything in Israel was tithe for the Levites because they had no inheritance. So when you, and that's why it says, shall a man rob God? You're robbing the priesthood. This is what you were doing. You were robbing the priesthood. Read on.
For their service which they serve,
right?
Even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation.
That's how they got paid. And it was only a tenth. It was only a tenth. That's why I said, it said in Hebrews, it said he took a tenth of all. And in Proverbs it said, of all thine increase. What do you think that the shekel of the temple was? That was money.
Right.
Read on.
Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come nigh the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generation, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance.
And they were given the tithes because they had no inheritance, because their thing was what? To deal with the tabernacle of the congregation. That was their inheritance. So that's why they were given the tithes. That's how they lived. Read on.
But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance.
Because their inheritance was what? The tithes. They just said it. Their inheritance was the tithes. So that's why, again, it talks about in Malachi, shall a man rob the Most High? How do you rob them in tithes and offerings so the Levites can't get paid? Then, if they can't eat, then guess what the Levites got to do? They got to start dealing deceitfully. Because you're not paying your tithes. So it's a checks and balance system. So read on.
Verse 24.
Then we jump to 25.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, when ye take the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then ye shall offer up an heave offering of it for the Lord, even a tenth part of the tithe. And this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you, as though it were the corn of the thresh floor, and as the fullness of the winepress. Thus ye also shall offer an heave offering unto the Lord all of your tithes, which ye receive of the children of Israel, and ye shall give thereof of the Lord's heave offering to Aaron the priest. Out of all your gifts ye shall offer every heave offering unto the Lord, of all the best thereof, even a hollow part thereof out of it. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, when ye have heaved the best thereof from it, then it shall be counted unto the Levites as the increase of the threshing floor, and as the increase of the winepress.
Right, so you wasn't giving the Most High rotten olives. You wasn't giving the Most High one-eyed lambs. You were giving them the best of the best. You weren't giving them sickly stuff or food all corroded and everything. Read on.
And ye shall eat it in every place, and ye and your households, for it is your reward for your service in the tabernacle of the congregation. And ye shall bear no sin by reason of it, when ye have heaved from it the best of it. Neither shall ye pollute the holy things of the children of Israel, lest ye die.
So you weren't supposed to pollute the holy things of the children of Israel, lest ye die. So these are the things that you weren't supposed to do. You understand? You know. So and that's why the Most High, you can tell the difference between the holy and profane things. You didn't give profane things unto the Most High. You understand? That's something that you didn't do. All right. So I'm trying to find that scripture that I had on my flashcards. That's weird. I think I left it home. That's not it. Yeah, I look like it's the right flashcard box. Got up 3 of them. All right, come. So I'm ended on that. The scripture that I'm looking for. I'm gonna have to find it. I thought I had on my this set of flashcards, but I got my other flashcard. But it talks about what we talked about in Tobit. When Tobit cashed in his crops for money.
Oh no, it's in the same chapter.
It's in the same chapter?
Yeah. I was just looking at it.
Read that then, King. That's
Salakia. Hold on.
That's his spirit right
there.
there.
No, you skipped right over it. Hold on.
I know it was bouncing around and everything.
Nah, it's right.
Oh, it's right in 15.
Yeah, 15 and 16.
15 and 16. Yeah, you know what? That's what you're skipping over, right?
Everything that openeth the matrix in all flesh.
So this is Numbers, the 18th chapter, verse 15 and 16.
Mm-hmm.
So read on.
Which they bring unto the Lord, whether it be of men or of beasts, shall be thine.
So everything shall be the Most High. So whether it be what? It says whether it be man or beast. Because in the past, before the Levites was set up, your firstborn was doing things. That was the firstborn son's responsibility. But still, after the fact, the Most High still required your firstborn son.
Yeah.
And remember, your firstborn son got everything except for Esau. He didn't get his. That's why he's not. Except for Esau. He didn't get his. So, and nor was he supposed to get his. Remember that. So,
nevertheless, the firstborn of man shalt thou surely redeem, and the firstling of unclean beasts shalt thou redeem.
Right? So check that out. So now your beast was tied even. Your firstborn beast was the best of the best. You gave that to the Most High.
So in other words, when we dedicated the firstborn that opened the matrix, the clean beast, the priest kept because they would eat it and do sacrifice. But then our firstborn children and firstborn of unclean beasts, we kept because they couldn't do nothing with that.
Because the priesthood was set up.
Right. But it was the ceremonial part that we had to go.
But listen, but before the Levitical priesthood was set up, your firstborn son had to do these things.
He did the duty.
He did the duties. You understand? That's why it was important for you to give your firstborn son in the matrix. Open up the matrix. That firstborn son meant a lot to the Most High during that time period. Then when the order of the Levites was set up, you didn't need that. So then your firstborn son, you kept that. You kept him there. Mm-hmm. And your unclean animals, because what do you need? Pigs gonna be running around the temple, okay?
Mm-hmm. But it's a real understanding because you give your 10% to the priesthood, and the priesthood inherit that 10%, but they still gotta cut off the 10% to the Most High.
The Most High, they still gotta give their cut to the Most High.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving you giving the Levites 10, the Levite, everybody pays.
It keeps
tithes.
moving up.
Everybody pays tithes.
It's like a business.
It's a business. So, in other words, the Levites live off the tithes of the people. You understand? They live off the tithes of the people, and then the Levites, in turn, they give that 10th to the Most High. So we get understanding of it. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't just done during the first of the year. You had if you had a sheep, right? Mm-hmm. If you had sheep, for every female sheep that had a firstborn, I
took that firstborn.
You took that golden. It wasn't just a once a year thing. Only thing that was once a year was your crops. Right. Everything else was continually. You can go. Your crops was a one time thing because that was the first fruits.
Right.
But whenever it came to like your cattle, whenever your cattle had firstborns, then they grew up. They had a firstborn. You get that too.
That was all income to the household.
It was all exactly. You see what I'm saying? Exactly. And finish reading this so we can close up.
Verse 16. And those that are to be redeemed from a month old shalt thou redeem, according to thine estimation, for the money of 5 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs.
No, this is not it, King. This talks about what I'm looking for And I thought I had it. Written
Nah,
down.
I think it's in Deuteronomy.
Yeah, it's got to be in Deuteronomy. It talks about if you were on a far journey and you couldn't bring your first.
Yeah,
you gotta trade it in for money.
That's in Deuteronomy, right?
Yeah.
It says you have to trade it in for money.
Yeah.
And that's because that's what Tobit did. I thought I had it written down on my flashcards, but it's my other box. I grabbed the wrong box. It's not cool when you got like 5 or 6 boxes of flashcards. And this is a new box. I'm starting over with a new Bible, new everything. So that's why I should just bought the old box. But I'm gonna give that to y'all on the closing services. I'm gonna give it to you on the closing services. I'm gonna just close up with that. Because I'm gonna find it right after we shut down. We'll see. That's how it usually happens, right? As soon as I shut down, I'm gonna find it. So, but hopefully you got understanding on why we do certain things, and King, hopefully you got understanding on the double tithe and things like that. Why this, that 20% was just pure wickedness.
2 understandings, because nobody just told you. They was giving us understanding that this was the Melchizedek. That's why you had the order of the high priest, chief high priest, and apostles.
That's where you see that. Where do you see that? Was Paul and them doing the order of Melchizedek? Nah, they was going under the order of Yahushua, King. They was professing Yahushua, and the problem is with that school is this: we were taught Yahushua, but we weren't taught to worship Yahushua. We were taught to worship man. Let me give you a little history. It was the 7 back in the days. Okay. Then it went from the 7 to the 12 kings. Then it went from this guy being the God sent comforter. But it like, you see what it's like this. If you were that, why are you locked up? For just tax evasion. Of all things. If you got that power, if you're the comforter like that, like you say you are, King, you should have been able to cook them books the right way, King. But see, that's how Esau gets Jake. Because Esau know Jake, they
know we greedy.
Remember I told you the brother that bought the van for the school?
Yeah.
He was my platoon commander.
You see that?
And I remember when he bought the van to the school, because we used to ride in the old beat up white one. And sometimes the old beat up white one is all the garbage from inside used to get thrown in there. It's a garbage day came. When garbage day came in, brothers would clean it out, put it on the curb to sanitation, pick it up, clean it out. Now we gotta go to the storage facility to put the camp stuff in there. Yeah. It goes to the camp. And many times this van done broke down on us. And especially during the cold weather season. Like brothers was in there like shivered. And the brother went out and bought a van. Yeah. And said, here, use it. It's to be used. But it never got used. Like the van suddenly just went poof. So to find the van on the main property with all the garbage bags with everybody envelope in it.
Wow.
All their ties and stuff.
Wow, that's what happened.
Yeah, King. It was on
the brothers
YouTube.
Gonna get out. All the brothers that was in that video
on YouTube
are brothers I was in Hebrew Academy, or they was higher rank above me in my unit. Except for one of the brothers, he was the head.
Bless the food, King.
Except for one of the brothers. One of the brothers, he was the head of the Camden, Jersey camp.
We had words with them before.
Right.
They called us school one day.